You are now listening live to The Slice, where there's no apple or cherry, but where faces are buried. Presented by NWTC Studios. Now, here's Chase.
All right, what's going on, guys? This is the second episode of the NFL podcast. This is The Slice. And we have Josh Hietpas with us here today. We have Panda and Tiger from the radio show Behind Closed Doors.
How's it going, everyone?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Alrighty. So our topics today is mainly NFL, strictly. What I want to start off with is something that's been stirring the pot.
You mean besides your attitude?
Underdogs?
Yeah. You, okay. All right. Throwing people under the bus today. All right. Well, underdogs. We had a nice little conversation the other day, me, Panda, and Tiger.
Oh yeah, we went.
Well, we got to throw Josh into the mix here. Come on,
Yeah.
give him his credit.
We're gonna put him in here right now.
Throw him right into the fire.
That's what this is all about.
How about we start with Josh?
let's,
We threw our opinions out. Let's start with Josh.
Good
Let's see
idea,
what you
Josh.
got.
What do you think?
Of the underdogs?
What is your underdog?
This year, I actually think it's the Raiders. Like you said in that thing before. I don't know, Charles Woodson has never looked better, and he's never looked older either.
That's right.
Like, it just all seems to add up that way. And the offense, like, I actually thought the Raiders were going to be terrible this year because that's what you expect of them every year. But this year, they just came out with a fight, like Derek Carr, I think his name is. Yeah.
He's unreal. He's been throwing up numbers.
That was a surprise to me.
He talks about the Raiders, and the big thing about the Raiders is everyone does expect them to be terrible. But let's take into account their last couple years. They are in the AFC West, which when you think about it, in previous years, that is one of the toughest divisions to win in the NFL. You've got the Denver Broncos, the Oakland Raiders, the San Diego Chargers, and the Kansas City Chiefs, which in recent years, they've all been very legit teams, besides the Raiders. And just around last year was when Derek Carr started to come like out of his shell pretty much. Here comes Derek Carr, here comes a new star quarterback. And people were already touting Derek Carr to be the next franchise quarterback for the Oakland Raiders. Now, this year, when you're looking at it, that is a very, very weak division. Aside from the Denver Broncos, which the Raiders have already played and they got pretty much destroyed. They got taken out.
They did get Manning.
They didn't get destroyed, but they were all over Peyton Manning. That's where Charles Woodson really looked his best so far this year.
And the cool thing about that game was Woodson actually said he's not going to end his career unless he gets a pick from Manning. That was one of his top goals, and I found it pretty cool that he did that.
He finally did that, and he did it twice.
Twice in
one game.
Yeah. But like Josh said, my underdog team, as you know, said in the last podcast, is definitely still the Oakland Raiders. They're making their way up the totem pole, man.
My underdog team, actually, right now that everybody's kind of passing over at this point, are actually the Minnesota Vikings. A lot of people are tending to look over the Vikings right now. They are in your last podcast they were at 3-2. They are sitting at 5-2 in the NFC North. They are one game behind the Green Bay Packers. Granted, that comes with a weak schedule. They've beaten Chicago twice, they've beaten Kansas City, and they've beaten the Lions twice.
But they straight got stomped by the Bears, one of the worst teams in our division.
They beat the Bears 23-20.
I thought the Bears stomped them.
Surprisingly, the Bears have been actually compared to recent years.
It was still a close enough game where I
yeah.
thought the Bears stomped them. That doesn't say
Right,
much.
but they're
beating weak teams like the Bears. That doesn't matter.
The Bears have like 1 or 2 wins. I mean,
Yeah, but who have the Oakland Raiders beaten that are legit? In that same regard. This is a team that, don't forget, when the Packers won the Super Bowl, they were 10-6. They did not win the division. All of their games were close. They had never lost that year by more than 7 points. And right now, the Vikings are on that same track. They had one fluke loss so far against the San Francisco 49ers in Week 1. And that's because they didn't really have an identity. Right now, that team knows who they are. They have their identity established, and they're going to be a dangerous team. Don't count them out.
Good argument. That was good.
Yeah, no, I think I don't even would classify them as underdogs anymore because they've came out this season, and right from the beginning, I thought they were going to be good. Young quarterback, Adrian Peterson coming back.
That's the thing.
Yeah,
Adrian Peterson,
he
I'm
carries
expecting
the team.
so much more out of him. He's been lacking compared to what he's been running. He's been running his yards up like crazy these past couple
Yeah.
years. And this year, I think he's lacking. I don't know if it's because offensive line, slacking or whatnot.
I'm really
I don't know
thinking
what's
that
going
it's
on
more
there,
or
but
less that they want to establish that Teddy Bridgewater is their quarterback, and I think what they're trying to focus on right now is getting him weapons and making sure that he's not having a quote-unquote sophomore slump.
Right.
Because Bridgewater is who they want for their future. After, so much quarterback troubles, after Dante Culpepper tanked. Can you name a solid quarterback from the Vikings until Bridgewater came along?
Brett Favre.
Are you really
Okay.
going to say Brett Favre?
You're going to say
One
Brett
year
Favre?
wonder.
Yeah, Brett Favre
The
was
old
there.
age Brett Favre wasn't
He
even
may
a
be
decent
old age.
solid.
He may be old age, but dude can play. You
Brett
see what he
Favre
got put
was.
through the bounty that the Saints had put on Brett Favre
Don't
for that
forget.
game?
Don't forget, yeah, Brett Favre at 40 years old had one of the best seasons of his career with
Thank
the
you.
Vikings.
Exactly.
But Brett Favre was only around for 2 years, and they knew he wasn't a permanent solution. He was just there temporarily. He was on his
Vikings
revenge
for
tour.
2 years?
What's that?
He was on Vikings for 2 years?
Yeah.
2 years.
Okay. I
He was
thought
on the
it
Viking.
one.
He
There
was
was the
straight
year where
headhunting for
He was on the
Packers.
Jets before
Yeah.
the Vikings,
yeah, the Jets, then the
and he stayed with
Vikings.
for
But
2 years.
staying on topic with the Vikings, when you think about who they've had before Bridgewater, let's completely count Brett Favre out.
Okay.
They've had
And no-
Matt Castle.
He's a fluke.
And that's really all I can think about.
Yeah.
Like when you think about other quarterbacks, who are the names of the quarterbacks with the Vikings in recent years?
It's funny because
and now,
nobody knows. They didn't.
right, and now everybody's talking about their new rookie. They're talking about Teddy Bridgewater.
I'm not really sure nobody knows. I'm sure Vikings fans know, but
Unfortunately,
Us
they
being-
have
We're
to
not
know.
going to ask every single fan, hey,
Yeah.
guess what? Who is that? Who is your quarterback for, 2012? Who was your quarterback?
that's
or you wouldn't, like, you know what I'm trying to say?
that's what I'm saying. But the fans know. That's the only real people that know. We're clearly not from Minnesota. We're straight out of Wisconsin.
Repping the G's, go Pack, by the way.
Yeah, we're straight out of Wisconsin, and we don't know. We don't know that.
Trent, you do got a point. You got a point.
Yeah, it's just I know they're a solid team. Everyone, you can't argue this is a solid, well-built team. That defense is legit. Their offense, Bridgewater, is iffy right now. He's throwing up a couple of leaps of faith every now and again, but
Blind faith.
they are an established team. When they go on to play Green Bay in the coming weeks, have your eye on that game because that could have serious playoff implications.
Well, even when you saw young Rodgers, when he first actually got out on the field, he was the same way. There was a lot of people having that leap of faith, hoping he came out, and he eventually came out once he started realizing his potential, and they trained him. And they noticed that he's got a lot of moves similar to Favre, and they used that because he had moves similar to young Favre his body is similar to young Favre. He can move around. He's got that mobility like Favre used to, but he's got all the skill of old Favre from being behind him from so long.
So on that topic, Panda, who's your underdog team?
Hold on, I got one more thing. One about those Vikings.
Yeah.
They made a pretty kind of stupid move. They how they've been lacking a wide receiver core.
Right.
They just traded Cordarrelle Patterson.
Well, Cordero Patterson, I mean, he had his one sparked game
Yeah.
against the Ravens, and then after that game, and you want to think about that, that was a bad Ravens team that year. They didn't make the playoffs. They didn't go anywhere. He had, I think they even ended up losing that game too. I can't quite remember. But he had a kick return for a touchdown, and then he had one breakout run that gave the Vikings the lead, temporarily at least. After that, he just kind of dropped off. He never really peaked. He reminds me a lot of Jarrett Boykin,
Right.
where everyone expects this guy to step up and be the next big receiver, the next target for Aaron Rodgers, and he just tanked, and they got rid of him. So
Well, you see that with a lot of people.
absolutely, you see it with a lot of people.
Or you see people that they have signed on, and you're watching them, and he had hands for a while and then just dropped. You
Yeah.
see that with a lot of people, and then people are picking up these Green Bay receivers because they were good, and sometimes they get that one quarterback that just works with them.
Well, I mean, that's a given. You're not. I mean, I played high school football. I was a tight end receiver, and it's not as easy as it looks. I mean, there's so much to it. Like you got so much pressure. You got all these people watching you, and like I don't know. It's not as easy as it looks, and it's not like you're going to catch every single pass.
Right.
So that's expected.
So, Panda, who's your underdog pick? I think we spent enough time on the Vikings.
Oh yeah, the Vikings. Yeah,
Yeah.
they definitely took over.
I honestly am watching the Saints.
You're watching the Saints?
I'm watching
Saints?
the Saints.
The Saints.
I got
I
I got a
agree with
feeling.
that.
I got a feeling that we're going to end up seeing a lot of them, and they're going to become a big topic real quick here soon.
the Saints.
The only big thing about the Saints is this last game. They barely brushed past the New York Giants.
That's a Giants team that, in all regards, is also terrible. That NFC East is a terrible division.
Right. Thank you.
The thing that I'm seeing, though, is they have that potential, and if they actually figure it out and manage to roll through, they're going to be a good team. They're going to be a big-name team, and they're going to come back strong.
Look at
and
their division,
all you
though.
need is a win. You start with one win, and you start rolling through.
They have the biggest mountain to climb in their division, though. They've got the Carolina Panthers and the Atlanta Falcons in front of them right now. And the Falcons had an embarrassing loss against Tampa Bay,
Right.
but that was only by 3 points. The games that the Falcons have lost so far have been close. These are the Carolina Panthers and the Atlanta Falcons are two very, very solid teams
Oh yeah.
who I don't see anybody else in that division. Definitely not the Buccaneers
No.
and not the Saints either, like toppling them. Those are two teams that are going to get into the playoffs. For sure.
For sure.
For sure. Only one team's coming out of the NFC East. And
I
that
personally
team's going to be probably 9-7 at best.
I honestly see the Panthers pulling away with that division. But back to the Saints.
Yeah, I
Back
think
to the Saints.
I think the Saints, even though some people say that it might just been a one game thing of that high scoring game versus the Giants, I think the Saints might be on the upcoming for the rest of the season. Like within that division, it will be hard to beat the Panthers, and it will be hard to beat everyone else. But I think if they just improve on their defense, they have the offense to score points and to make big plays.
Well,
especially
let's
with
think about the offense for a
Brees.
second here. The offense is led by Drew Brees, of course.
Mhm.
And Drew Brees is, again, one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game. But when you take into account what Drew Brees is working with, can you name any weapons that he has besides C.J. Spiller? Anybody?
Nope.
Half the time,
Personally,
it's not about the weapons.
Well,
it's
the
about
Saints
the
are-
play that you can make.
The Saints
The
are in
Saints
a-
have this chance, and all it takes is a one-win confidence boost. Once you have a confidence boost, you can get through. That starting one win, that's all they're going to need, because I see a steamroll, a potential for it. If it doesn't come through, I'm wrong, it's my opinion.
For them to
Right,
step
yeah.
up, they need to have the mindset of starting that week 0-0, 0-0. Because then they'll be like, oh yeah, we're starting brand new and fresh. We're not gonna think about what's going on this past week, how much we won by or how we won. You want to start off a new week, a new record. That's how I always thought of it, and it really helped a lot. It really it makes you think.
There are plenty of players, there are plenty of teams that don't do that. They get a confidence boost at where they're sitting right now.
And that's what I feel. I mean, I feel about the whole, the Packers and whatnot. Yeah, they got their loss to the Broncos, and Broncos are a great team. But I feel the reason they lost is because they thought about their undefeated record.
Well, at the same
That
time,
had
you got to
have something
think,
do with it.
looking at the positive side of the Packers, like getting their mouths absolutely punched by the Denver Broncos.
Yeah.
Looking back at that, sometimes you just need a loss to really set the tone for the rest of the season. It really gets their minds in a straight place. Okay, this is what we did wrong. This is what we can improve on. Let's start over fresh. Let's head into Carolina. Let's hand them their first loss and just keep this momentum going for ourselves.
Yeah,
That's
'cause-
exactly what I'm saying, because when they went into that Bronco game, they're like, oh man, we're undefeated. We got to beat these guys.
It's
We gotta-
pressure. It's like being a college student. You have something to do,
Well, let's
and then
also
all of a
keep
sudden
in
that
mind-
pressure comes in, and you're just like, I have to get this done. I'm spending all night, and then it just doesn't come through. It looks like crap. It doesn't work out, and you're sitting there going, what could I have done to make it better?
Right.
and you know what you could have done. You could have started earlier. You could have practiced more. But Packers, they needed it. They needed this loss so that way they can come back and they can come back strong.
It's just going to give him more fire for the next week.
Let's not forget, the Denver Broncos were kind of poised to win that game. They were already playing for their owner. All of them, they were at home. They were at Mile High. They had been on the road for however many weeks in a row. They were ready to win that game. They came in to win. They didn't come in to play. They came to win.
Mile High is one of the hardest stadiums to play in, just because how the stadium is shaped. They got their fan base is incredible. I will give them that. Their
Right,
fan
just
base
like
is
how
incredible.
Lambeau Field is also one of the hardest places to play in.
That's right.
When you have an avid fan base, it's so hard to play on the road. Like, people don't really understand how hard it is to win on the road in the NFL.
It's not
Fans,
easy.
fans is what makes it, because you have some stadiums where it's quiet or it's decent. You can do your calls. You can go into a no huddle situation and get away with it. And then you have those ones where it's so loud, it's louder than a jet engine.
That's why people talk about like the difference between home and away, because like when you first think of it, you be like, it's not that big of a deal, but it actually is. Like, especially with those Packers at the Broncos Stadium, every time the Packers offense was on the field, it was going like crazy loud in there, and they had miscommunications because it was just too loud for them to hear.
Well, you even saw that on offense. When the offense came in, Rodgers couldn't get a decent throw to save his life.
Mm-hmm.
He couldn't get those players open. The defense was going overpowered on them, and he did not stand a chance. That pocket kept collapsing, and there kept being people touching him. I got you, Chase. What do you got? Sorry.
No, you're good, man. No, keep it going. Keep it going. But Aqib Talib, I don't know if any of you guys noticed, he had a breakout game. That was huge.
Well, we already know.
James Jones could not get open for the life.
Did he even have a catch?
He had
Maybe a catch or two, but
Yeah,
let's
I
keep
didn't-
in mind for a second here that the receiving core for the Packers right now, without Jordy Nelson, is pedestrian at best. James Jones is a playmaker, but he's not the kind of guy now at the age of 31. He's not the guy who's just going to completely just break the route and get open. He's the kind of guy who, when Aaron Rodgers is extending the play, Rodgers can turn to him. But when you're facing right now, the Denver Broncos have probably the best secondary in the NFL.
Yes.
They are
Yes.
not just the best secondary, the best defense.
Yep.
They are number one almost across the board. You're not going to get open with James Jones. Who else was out there? Randall Cobb signs a big contract this year. He hasn't stood out at all.
No.
Even
He-
the only player that he was able to hit and hit consistently was Richard Rodgers.
And even then, the
The
tight end.
plays,
Rodgers.
Rodgers to Rodgers, never worked out. He got short yards. He didn't go far. They tried running it, and you just couldn't run it. They really needed to get in a no-huddle situation, hurry it up, and keep throwing it through, and they're not doing that. They're not playing smart. They're trying to play competitive. They're trying to keep up, and they should play smart over that.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not dissing, my pack. I'm not dissing them or anything, but they're not perfect.
No.
I
They're
don't
not perfect at all.
I don't think any of us are trying to diss them. We're just
Yeah,
trying to
we-
state what we saw in that game.
I
and
am going
what
to
we're
state
not
this,
too
though.
proud of seeing it.
I'm going to state this. They need a tight end to step up.
Yes, they do.
They
For
absolutely need a tight end to step up. That position for the last 2 years has been a black hole. And I
think
know
it's more than
with the
2
way
years,
that
actually.
Ted Thompson likes to build this team, and it's worked. He likes to build from the draft. He doesn't want to sign any big names. But to think that the Broncos sign a tight end, Vernon Davis, who is a
that's
stud.
real pickup.
That is a
Yeah, that
real
was
pickup.
some news to
And
me.
and apparently the Packers didn't even have a word with Vernon Davis. When you can pick up a player like that, that adds a whole new weapon. Do you want to know the other receivers that are out there that they can trade or sign right now? One of them is Deshaun Jackson, who's on his way out of Washington,
Exactly.
who Aaron Rodgers, by the way, played with in college.
Yep.
And he is legit. He can get open. He is a playmaker. He is Deshaun Jackson.
Well, there's a lot of people the Packers could sign. Even Double D, Donald Driver said if
He's
they
willing to
asked,
come back.
if they asked, he will come back.
Well,
but they
let's-
won't bring him back, and it's not because he's retired. It's because he's that big name player that everybody's expecting a play out of. He's still got hands. He has the
He's got it
playability.
still,
Yeah.
like-
He just retired because he didn't want to seem like another Brett Favre on the team. He watched how the players started to chastise him.
Yep.
Yeah, this is going back to like James Jones. Like when they had this scenario of Jordy Nelson getting hurt, they were like in a scramble to find a wide receiver, and that's when Donald Driver said he would play. And then when they went with James Jones, he was like, everyone was praising him because he was scoring all these touchdowns. But like going back to that game last week, they didn't even give him a chance to get in the red zone. So
No.
They'd
that's
be
why he
better
was-
off with somebody like Double D. My personal
Who can
opinion.
play the
when-
whole field
When,
rather
when
than-
you watch him, he moves. He's still got speed, even in his old age, and he can get out there and make the play, even with the extensions. He's there.
Right, right. But when you can sign somebody who's much younger, who you can, even when it's somebody young, like Jacoby Jones just got traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's
Exactly.
another
We
acquisition
had-
that you can
We
make.
had the chance. Jacoby Jones is a huge pickup.
Now, I understand, like, over the offseason, they didn't really sign any wide receivers. They re-signed Randall Cobb. And when you have Jordy Nelson and Randall Cobb and Devontae Adams, that is a huge, huge threat on the field. But when you take just Jordy Nelson out, look what it's done already. 3 games in a row now. San Francisco, St. Louis, and Denver. The offense has been lackluster.
Yes.
And I think we've all, like, just kind of brushed it aside because, you know, hey, it's Aaron Rodgers. And they always build it's fine to build your offense around your quarterback. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
But right now, it just seems like the Packers don't really have a plan if Rodgers has a bad game. Plan A is Aaron Rodgers. Plan B is Aaron Rodgers. And plan C is Aaron Rodgers. So on and so forth.
Yeah.
That's their only plan is, oh, it's Aaron Rodgers. He'll do fine.
Like on the topic of the Packers offense, Eddie Lacy this year, he started off like he was gonna have one of his best years. Then he ended up getting hurt, and he just hasn't looked the same since.
He's been doing 3 plays and 3 plays with James Starks. James Starks. Now, him on the other hand, these first couple games, man, I've been very impressed with him.
Let's not forget-
I went to the Seahawks game, man, and like he killed it. Like he
You
killed
with
it
that
game.
Snapchat, like he was going crazy on Snapchat.
Dude, I
My
had the biggest
phone
headache
kept
in my
blowing
life.
up. I'm sitting at home doing work, and all of a sudden my phone just blows up. I'm like, God, Chase, leave me
It
alone.
was a good game, but like James Starks, he's
So
he's,
do you think he's on the come up and is gonna be?
I think he's definitely on the come up. You can
Okay.
quote
Well,
me on
well,
that.
he's been on his come up already. Let's not
Yeah.
forget, James Starks was that miracle running back during the Packers Super Bowl run.
I
So he
remember
came
that.
up when Ryan Grant got injured.
Yeah.
All right,
At least
now,
I'm pretty sure it
I
was
got a
Ryan
straight
Grant.
question. I know it's going to sound bad, but I stopped watching towards the end of the game. Do we ever get our defender that went out, the big one, Clay Matthews back? Did we get Matthews back?
He came in. Yeah, he was
came
fine.
back.
Yeah,
he played
he
through
came
the
in.
injury. He's
Yeah,
got
he
a
did.
basic, like, stinger on his ankle.
Since we're on the defense, last game.
my
That
God.
was a fluke.
As soon as Matthews was out, that defense went to heck, and I was like, yep, nope, I'm done. Not watching this game. I went to a
that was
buddy's house, and
crazy.
we started playing games. I was done. Like,
I mean-
I couldn't handle even watching the rest of the game because I knew they were going to lose. There was nothing. There was no coming back, and I felt terrible because I didn't stay and watch it till the end. But I knew how this was turning out. I watched the game, and it just got to the point where it wasn't even worth finishing.
I'm gonna throw this out there. What do you guys think about Demarius Randall and Quentin Rollins, the rookies on the defense? How do you think they've been playing?
You know, they've really actually stepped up. For rookies, the way that they're playing, they're producing, but we can't forget these two are rookies.
Yep.
One of them a second rounder. Like they're doing their part right now
Yep.
on defense, and they're looking like they're going to be a very solid just duo of cornerbacks.
Right. And I mean, taking over for Tremont Williams leaving. I mean, Tremont,
Yeah.
he was definitely a big part of our defense.
Yeah,
but-
not so much for the Browns anymore.
Yeah, no, he fell.
He's
done.
fallen.
I-
Yeah,
It
good idea
doesn't
letting him
help
go.
with how many injuries that the Packers have had this year and everything else. We've lost a lot of our people that way. We've gotten a couple back, but they just don't look good. They don't look like they did before. And I got a feeling a bunch of people that I know are calling, oh, it's going to be a fluke. It'll be fine. They'll come back like they did the Super Bowl. This is the same thing that happened during the Super Bowl. Well, during the Super Bowl, we had a bunch of big name people come out of it. We had rooks that came out on the field, made the plays, made it work, and managed to help our team. Right. Now we've got these rookies, but we don't. I'm going to have to agree with Tiger as much as I hate agreeing with him. We've lost a bunch of our weapons.
We did.
We've lost a bunch of our weapons. Now we're relying too much on Rodgers. We're relying on Richard Rodgers as well.
Well,
We're just relying on too many people that have been so either unreliable or spot on every time.
I don't think anyone's relying on Richard Rodgers. I think everyone wants to see if Richard Rodgers can step up this season. Well, he was average at best in his rookie year.
He's always been average, I think. He's never taken.
And now this year, it just seems like
he's become a big deal because we're losing
Packers
people.
Tight ends. Will the nearest Packers tight end please raise your hand? I know Corliss is out, and Corliss is more of a receiver than he is a tight end. He's out there to catch the ball.
Yeah.
Richard Rodgers is supposed to be the next Jermichael Finley, where he can block.
I don't think you want
he
to
can
be
get
a
out there and
Jermichael
be
Finley. That dude was butterfingers, man. He
That's
dropped
what
a
I was
lot of
saying.
He was a
Got rid of him.
midfield threat. You could not just turn your head away from Jermichael Finley. When he was out there, he was a threat. He's an added threat.
There was a
and other
point
people
where
are going to
Finley
get
couldn't
open.
even keep his hands on the damn ball, and it was terrible to watch. You'd see the ball go right into his hands, and you're like, there, you got it. Good. Keep it.
I'll give it
out.
to him. I'll give it to him. He's. You're right. You're right, Tiger here. He is a midfield threat, you know?
Jermichael was a midfield
was.
threat,
But
and that's what they want.
The shorts, the slants and the drag routes, don't give it to him.
Well, everybody's
dropped
going to
more
drop a
than half
pass.
of
Let's
his
not
passes.
forget, when James Jones, during that Super Bowl year, he had, in the playoffs, 2 key drops. One of them in the Super Bowl, where he would have been gone, and that would have opened the game right up. But no one talks about that because they win the game. When it comes to Jermichael Finley, unfortunately, his career ended in the worst way possible.
Yep.
But back on Panda's point earlier, when he was talking about the Super Bowl year with rookies stepping up, let's not forget you still had the veteran influence. That was one of Charles Woodson's last years, and he had one of the best years of his career. Mm-hmm. And when he went down in the Super Bowl, that's when the rookies stepped up. Jared Bush came in and had a game in that Super Bowl, and he had a key pick on Roethlisberger that year.
But you had those rookies stepping up with the veteran influence. You need that veteran influence. You need help. You can't be a rookie, come in cocky, and think you're just going to be the best. You have to have somebody help you get used to what's going on and get used to moving around.
The Super Bowl run, though, besides James Starks?
Finley actually was doing good in the Super Bowl run.
Yeah, he did all right.
And that's where he made his name, is because he actually didn't butterfingers. And then the next 2 years, straight up, every time he got the ball,
And then that's what
you might as well just throw in the play. Throw it off sides. Call it.
All right, I'm going to have to cut it with the Packers. We did a
We did a
We
long.
did a lot about the Packers.
Yeah.
Now there's another team I want to talk about is the Patriots.
New England. Ooh, boy.
New England. What are your guys' thoughts on that, Josh?
Well, I think they're just what they set out to be, and I don't know. There's mixed opinions all the time, as there always has been. If they win the cheap way or something like that. But I think their success is real, and it's led by Tom Brady. I think he's as best as they come.
Despite all of Tom Brady's what we would say is flaws or
That would imply Tom Brady has a lot of flaws when he's out on the field.
that yeah
Which he doesn't.
he doesn't. But do you guys think that they're trying to make up for this whole Deflategate stuff and making them want to play harder, or do you think that plays a factor in it at all?
Absolutely, it plays a factor.
Really, I think it doesn't at all, because I remember I played high school football as well, and our coaches always told us the media doesn't even matter. It's nothing to us, and we focused on our game plan. I think that's exactly what the Patriots are doing.
No, normally I'd agree with you about the whole media thing. If the media says something, you tend to ignore it. But this was an entire circus between not the media, but it was Tom Brady and Roger Goodell, the owner, the commissioner of the NFL. And the big thing is, beforehand, Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, well, always they're going to associate the two together because that's a coach and quarterback tandem like McCarthy and Rodgers.
Yeah.
Right.
The big thing was, they had been caught cheating before. There was Spygate before that. And now here comes Deflategate. And now Brady's suspended 4 games. The best play, which, by the way, let's throw this out right now. Tom Brady.
He's an elite quarterback.
Well, absolutely he's elite, but he is the best in the NFL right now. I'd say he is playing better than Aaron Rodgers right now.
I wouldn't say that.
He is playing this year. He is playing better than Aaron Rodgers, and that is because
Chase, you're letting some personal effects get in. Brady's always been considered either the best or close to the best.
No. By no means am I saying that Brady is not the best, but I wouldn't say he's better than Aaron Rodgers. I would say that they're about even. But this last game really changed, many people's outlooks, but mine.
The big thing is, Tom Brady has never played with a chip on his shoulder up until this year. That Deflategate is going to follow him through the whole year, whether he likes it or not. Which really, not many people really cared about it. They would have won that game regardless of how inflated or deflated the balls were. Now he's got that chip on his shoulder. He's got the commissioner after him. He's got the media after him. He is playing with this giant monkey on his back, and he is coming through.
But
I could easily see this team going undefeated again. Is there a team right now, besides the Denver Broncos, who they're going to play this year, is there a team that strikes you that can beat them in the regular season?
Well, as of right now, I think the Panthers maybe. I think they'd be the biggest threat for the Panthers right now. And the Bengals. You can't count out the Bengals.
Can't count out the Bengals, no.
I would say probably the Panthers and Patriots would be good best matchup. I think the Bengals are pretty good, but matching up the Bengals defense matching up against Tom Brady, I think would be their loss.
That's another thing. The Bengals defense will definitely more than likely
They're not
tank.
bad.
They're not
Yeah,
bad.
they're not bad.
But you got to realize you're playing against Julian Edelman, Tom Brady, LeGarrette Blount,
Rob Gronkowski.
Gronk. That's a big one. Their defense isn't just Pac-Man Jones. They got Geno Atkins.
That's what I think of when we talk about Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, who's better. Just look right now who Aaron Rodgers has, and look right now who Tom Brady has.
Right.
And I think that's the
when
difference.
when you're just a pedestrian fan, who are you thinking? Who's the name that you recognize? It's James Jones and Randall Cobb. That's it.
Even on top of that, if you really just look at, as Tiger was saying, players that play with a chip on their shoulder, if you watch Aaron, if one of his receivers gets some kind of offensive flag for holding or whatever, he throws it back to them to prove a point that didn't happen, or he can get that play in and get it to go off, and he'll throw it back to that player on purpose. I think with this Deflategate thing, he's coming out, and he's coming out strong to say, look, I can do this. I've done this before. You guys are wrong, and you're coming after me for whatever reason.
Right, and I mean, I don't know how to word this. Aaron Rodgers, once he, if one of their players drops a pass, let's say Rodgers throwing to Jones or Cobb or whoever, right? They drop the pass. Rodgers just turns around, he brushes off his shoulders, and he goes for the next play. Tom Brady, on the other hand, when he throws the ball, let's just say to Gronk. This is kind of rare, but when Gronk drops the ball, Brady gets pissed. He gets mad.
Brady is a very emotional player, and they capture his emotion on the field. But the thing about
I
want to
that's not
differentiate.
good for
Hold on.
for team composure.
I think a lot of players are emotional players, though. Look at Cutler. If Cutler is having a good game and everything's going right, and he's not whining like a little baby, he keeps his game going and he keeps the team going.
Actually,
but as soon as he starts whining and getting pissy and everything else, plays are getting dropped, points are getting lost, the other team starts winning.
That's the big thing. You need to keep your composure in a game.
Yeah,
Because it could reflect your whole team.
Now,
Tom
no.
Brady's-
You said Rodgers doesn't really hold a grudge when his players drop a pass. He doesn't hold it towards the player. He holds it towards himself and has to make it so he proves himself. That's why he'll throw it to that player again.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying.
He does that to prove a point, and it still looks negative, but it still also looks a little cocky and show-offy and funny.
And
I think he does that on purpose, but he can't do that all the time.
Well, Tom Brady, when he gets emotional, this isn't like, these aren't negative emotions. He is excited. He's pumped. He's out there having fun. That's what Tom Brady does. If you look back at any year in his career, he's always been just this charismatic quarterback. And there's a reason why people call him the best. Because arguably right now, he is. Maybe at the end of Rodgers' career, we'll say he's the best. But right now, Tom Brady is a good step ahead of him.
And, like, I think this makes you question, is, like, one better than the other? Like, Tom Brady, like, showing all this emotion, and Aaron Rodgers being more, like, not to himself necessarily, but, like, I can't think of the word, like,
Self-motivated?
Yeah, well, like we were talking about before, how he, like, deals with it himself if a receiver drops the pass.
He
or
takes it
something.
personally. He
Yeah,
takes
it's
it
like
as a
he
goal.
doesn't show that emotion to, like, or in a way that we can see it on TV or anything. And
Yeah,
it just makes
Rodgers
you
is
question.
really,
he thinks
really
to
close.
Which
himself
one-
and
is
he
that-
says,
is one
hey,
better
what
than the
can I-
other?
What can I do? What can I do to improve this? What can I say to the other receiver? You know,
Do you think that's better than Tom Brady's way of thinking, or do you think?
I think it's better because honestly, composure is a big part. 'Cause
That's
if
what-
you're-
that's what I was
if
looking
you're being
for,
a complete
compose.
anus to everybody, like on the team, like. That could affect everything, you know? Because then they're gonna be
hold
like,
on.
"Oh, I'm mad," you know, and they get way ahead of themselves and they drop passes. Or
This kind of reminds me
but
of.
also sometimes that could really motivate somebody to say, "Hey, I want to do better. Fix what I did wrong." I'm gonna end the podcast with something out of the blue.
Okay.
The crybaby of the game, crybaby of the 2015 season. My pick is Phillip Rivers. If you look back at highlights and clips, he gets so mad. Like he gets mad at himself, and he sits on the bench and he's just like yelling and he's just moping, and it's like you are a little baby, dude.
Hasn't Phillip Rivers been known for his sideline emotion, though? Like, throughout his career?
Yeah, but he's getting worse every year.
Yeah, that's like I don't think he started out that way. Like, I never thought him this way, but like over the years, it has seemed to be getting worse and worse.
Josh, you're a crybaby.
Oh, thanks.
No, I mean
Hey.
you're a crybaby. Who's your crybaby?
Not just you
Oh.
are a cry.
I was like, what? Okay. Okay. I was like, what? Okay, but I actually might have to think a little bit about this one. If anyone else has another
Speak
idea
up
right
if you
away,
got your
then
crybaby set.
so I can.
Oh, you know who I got. It's Color.
Crybaby
Color is my
Cutler.
crybaby.
Oh,
Cutler.
yeah.
I'm sorry, but if you look at him, his attitude affects the game. And if it gets so bad that they have to put the third string in and then the third string is out doing the first string, that says something about your quarterback. And why do the Bears still have him? Get rid of him. He clearly can't handle his attitude. He can't handle his problems. Get him out of there and get a decent quarterback in, and you might have a winning team again.
Agreed. All right, Tiger, what do you got, man?
All right. I'm not going to go with a specific player. I'm going to go with an organization.
God.
The San Francisco 49ers are the biggest crybabies of the year
Right?
so far.
They're
I
making-
mean, you want to talk about setting up to fail with the whole mess with Harbaugh leaving and everything. And now this year, just all of the blame is going on Colin Kaepernick, which I don't like the guy at all. I don't like Kaepernick. I've always thought he's just kind of cocky, but that's me.
Yeah, a lot of people think that.
Right now, he got benched for Blaine Gabbert,
yeah, that's
who,
Oh,
by the
man.
way, when he was playing in Jacksonville, with his bad attitude, he had his teammates calling him Blame Gabbert.
right. Exactly.
And now, like, right now, the biggest thing is everyone's saying, oh, well, we set up Kaepernick to succeed. He was supposed to do so well, but really, the 49ers are just a mess.
One more thing about the Niners before we get to Josh's crybaby. They're giving away their they're giving away one of their biggest threats on offense. Actually, they did. Vernon Davis. He's gone. Colin Kaepernick. He ain't doing nothing. They're putting in Blaine Gabbert. Like, they're falling apart. I'm sorry. The 49ers are falling apart, in my opinion. Josh?
Don't be surprised if you see Colin Kaepernick on another team next year, successful.
Right.
And
Can we just actually let Josh talk? I feel like he barely said anything throughout this entire.
Yeah, Josh, this
Okay.
one's all you. What's your crybaby?
all right, I think I might have to go with an organization as well, and I'm gonna go with the Buffalo Bills.
Oh.
After
Wow, where are they, huh?
yeah, because they brought in the new coach.
Rex Ryan.
Yeah, Rex Ryan. They brought in the new coach, and they're all talking about this defense was going to be the best defense like that year. I remember like during my fantasy team, it was the second ranked like during the draft, and they thought they were going to have a diverse offense as well, and that just didn't turn out. Like-
Stevie Johnson.
Yeah,
Where's
they have. The thing is, they have so many potential weapons, but they never lived up to their potential. So they're just not even considered weapons anymore. They're just a failing team. I think that's going to continue for the rest of the year.
Yeah, and don't forget with the Buffalo Bills, do you guys remember Sammy Watkins?
Sammy
Yeah.
Watkins.
Going off saying, I don't care if another guy's open, give me the ball, and this guy's on the bench and injured.
See,
it's like, come on, man.
that's
Really?
a crybaby
Soon, guys,
personality.
You guys all know
But
what I
yeah,
was gonna say on
definitely.
that
After
one.
the big talk from Rex Ryan, especially going into the Patriots week, and after that, he just kind of shut his mouth afterwards. And now it's just like that organization itself is kind of crumbling down in the division.
Karma will come back and bite you guys in the butt. Alrighty, well, you guys heard it here at the Slice. I want to thank Josh Hietpas,
No problem.
the men behind closed doors, Tiger and Panda. Appreciate it, guys.
Come check us out Fridays. TC Campus Connections behind closed doors, 12 to 3.
It's something you will not want to miss. All right, guys. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks for listening.
See ya.
Thanks for tuning into The Slice. Tune in next week for some more hard-hitting NFL controversies. Just blow your mind. This is Chase. I'm out.